Hello and welcome back to the Return Homestead. Today we're making a hot pepper sauce. Now I went out this morning and I picked a bunch of peppers. So I am using Santa Fe peppers, Jimmy Nardolo. I'm using Italian pepperoncinis. I've got some bell peppers. I have corbaci peppers, sugar rush peach. I have some peppers that my neighbor gave me. I don't know the name of them, but they're extremely prolific here. They get to be about this long. And they come in all different colors. They're a little bit spicy, so I got to figure out what that pepper is. I've got some jalapenos. I've got some orange jalapenos. So I've just got a plethora of peppers that I'm using, and I'm going to mix them in a half-gallon jar. And then I also have some sliced onions. These came out of our garden. They're just a white onion. I will also add some garlic cloves. I'm going to start slicing all the peppers, layering them in the jar along with the onions. So in the jar, I'm going to add a couple of cloves of garlic, making sure to remove the paper. If there's any bad spot on it, go ahead and cut that off. You don't want that in your jar. And it seems like with garlic, either you have a bunch or you have too much. And since my canning is almost done, I think I have too much. I'll have to do a lot of cooking. All right, so the garlic's in there. Now I'm going to start layering my peppers. These have all been washed. I'm going to pull the seed off and just start slicing them. The peppers are cold. Last week when we were working on the remodel, we had turned the power off. And it was extremely hot outside, so the AC wasn't going, and either was the ceiling fans. This week, I was wanting to put a sweater on while picking the peppers. So what a switch. You're going to start layering these peppers, and I like to do it by color because it makes the jar look pretty. And you're really going to want to pack these in. So you can definitely feel outside that fall is in the air. I'm not ready for summer, but it has been, the heat's been quite oppressive this year. It's been pretty hot. When I was out front yesterday talking to a neighbor, she was wishing for snow. I'm not there yet. The snow's pretty when it falls, but it's stinking cold. Jalapenos here grow really well. I wished I had planted more. Habaneros. Sugar rush peach, also hot. I love these orange spice jalapenos. Now I'm going to layer in some onion. These are the corbachis. If you plant these, they're a sweet pepper and they make a lot of peppers. So it's a great plant to have, especially if you have problems growing bell peppers, which we always had a problem with in the high desert. It was just so hot and dry, and by the time they were ready to pick on the vine, they had already started getting rotten. So these corbachis would be a good one to have. Not a problem here. Kentucky, just about anything grows. I did have a little problem with my onions though. Next year we'll plant a full row of them instead of doing them like I did in the high desert. High desert, I put them around every planter that I had. Here I'm going to be very deliberate about my rows and see if that makes a change. If you've had problems before and figured out what went wrong, let us know. It's like this is going to make 2 batches, but we have pickled peppers. We also have a lot of peppers and salsas. And we also have candied peppers. So now I'm fermenting peppers. With fermented peppers, it will take about 10 to 14 days for this to ferment, and then you don't cook it, so all the bacteria, the good bacteria for your gut, won't get cooked out. You'll just simply ferment them. You'll blend it up into a sauce, a pepper sauce. These are the peppers my neighbor sent over, and they're extremely good. She can't remember the name, but she did tell me where she bought her plants. So I'm going to try that next year. She gets tons of peppers off of them. You want to leave enough space at the top once you put your brine in, that when you put a weight on top, all of the peppers will stay under. Now you may get a little mold on the top of your jars. If you do, that's okay. Just take a spoon and get it off, or paper towel. It doesn't hurt the ferment at all. So there's one jar. My brine is hot, so I will get that put into the jar, but I need another jar. These jars are clean and sterilized. Whenever I use a jar, I take an old lid, turn it upside down, put it on top so they stay that way. And I'm just going to repeat the process. This is an Advarsky. Advarsky's is a red roasting pepper. Again, I pulled it a little early. I don't care if it's red or not. You normally will take these and put them in the oven until the skin starts to bubble. They're a great pepper. They grow very well here, and they're sweet. And the rest are green. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I have a bunch of sunflowers out back, and the yellow finches are all over them. And I've got one on the back porch thanking me. I like to watch the birds. We have pretty birds here in Kentucky. The cardinals usually come down and eat with the chickens every night, and they don't mind sharing. These are the glass weights that I use to put on top, and you want to make sure that the liquid stays above your peppers. I'm trying to squeeze every one of these peppers in 2 jars. We'll see how I do. I think that's gonna be it. I still have peppers to harvest, so I will put these back in the refrigerator. You don't have to use a half-gallon jar. You could use a pint, you can use a quart, you can even use a gallon jar. But you want it full so that when the weight's put on top, it will hold it below the liquid. And now I'm just going to put the liquid in the jars. So you want to leave about 1/2 inch headspace. Then you're going to put some sort of a top on it, whether it's cheesecloth or they have some silicone lids that have little tiny holes in them that let the bubbles come out but don't let the bugs in. I use airlocks, so that's what I'm going to put on this one. So this is an airlock lid. It'll sit right on top. It has water in it so that nothing can get in it. No oxygen can get in it, but it allows the bubbles to come out. This is going to sit on your counter in a dark space for about 10 to 14 days before it's ready to use. So these peppers here have been sitting for 14 days. If they get a little mold on the top, that doesn't hurt anything. Just skim it off. You can use a paper towel. It's just a thin layer. It won't hurt the ferment at all. Don't throw your peppers away. I've got a strainer in the pan, and you're going to pour them off. Oops. I'm going to take the weight out first. You want to reserve the brine. Don't throw it out. I'm using this pasta pot. Comes in really handy. Take the weight out. And you're going to let this drain. Okay, once your peppers have drained, your fermented peppers, you're going to start loading a blender. I have a Vitamix. If you don't have one, I'm sure any blender will work. And you want to save a 1/2 cup of brine. Now once you start mixing this, if it's too thick, just add a little more brine. And then you're going to add a splash of apple cider vinegar. This vinegar has the mother in it. It's the best one I think to use. Also good for your gut. And it says a splash, but that's arbitrary, depending on how much vinegar you like. Okay, that's still a little thick. I'm going to add a little more brine. Not quite 1/2 cup. We'll start with that. So I don't know if that's coming on camera, but it's a little thick. Now I'm going to taste it. It's spicy. I definitely wouldn't want to put more habaneros brine in that because it's salty enough to me. It's also got enough vinegar in it, so I'm going to jar this up, and it has to be stored in the refrigerator. This is not shelf stable. If when you pull your ferment out, there's a thin layer of mold on top, which happens a lot. If it's black, it's ruined, throw it out. If it's a white film, just skim it off. It's fine. It just means that your salt was too low. I'm going to put these in a jar and put them in the refrigerator. They'll store up to 1 year. If you want to can them, I'm sure you can, but you will kill all the probiotics in the fermentation. The same if you put them in the freezer. So if you don't think you're going to use as much, then you might add more citrus to this to make it shelf stable. I would put 2 tablespoons of lime juice in a jar and can it, just like I did in my picante sauce. We go through a lot of hot sauce, so I'm not worried. This is still a little thick, but like I said, it's salty, and I wouldn't want to put any more brine in there. It's also got enough vinegar in it. It would be great with chips. But I think 2 quarts is not going to be a problem. So there you go. We have 2 half gallons of peppers starting to ferment. We'll let them ferment for 14 days. We will take them out, reserving some of the brine. You'll blend them up and add a splash of vinegar. Use the one with the mother in it. That's the best. It will keep like this in the refrigerator for 1 year. Obviously, I'm not going to make any more than these 2, and I'll have to can the rest of the peppers that are coming in. But as cool as the evening was last night, I don't know how much longer the peppers will grow. We made 2 quarts of pepper sauce. We've got 2 half gallons of peppers that will ferment now for 14 days. These will keep in your refrigerator for 1 year. Well, thank you for joining me in the kitchen this morning. We ended up with 2 quarts of pepper sauce, 2 half gallons of peppers that will ferment for 14 days. Please subscribe to the channel. It's the best way you can help us, and hit the like button so it pushes it out to everybody. Until we see you next time on the homestead. Bye-bye.